Advocating while engaging families into the assessment process by Felicia Farr, Walden University. The importance of assessment in preschool. It is important to plan instructional strategies, including practice and informal assessment strategies for use in the learning center environment. Teachers should also consider individual needs in the introduction and practice of new vocabulary words. To sum up the results of a present research reveals about preschool and primary school teachers that the more they engage their pupils, age 4 to 11, in competitions, the more highly regarded they are as professionals. Teachers were more concerned about the competition against each other to have their class the best on assessments. This yielded to the highest pay for the class who could produce results. The prevalence rate of behavioral disorders is relatively high in preschools. Training parents in mental health issues may get an early start on prevention. Good communication between parents, kindergartners, and schools in order to assess children's mental health, and also providing mental health services in schools and kindergartners for the prevention, early diagnosis, and treatment of behavioral disorders in children seems necessary. Video is from the B2K Solutions and explains in 9 minutes the purposes of assessment by Franstech 2015. Involving the parents in the assessment process. Parents will get involved if they believe that it is a normal responsibility of parenting and that their efforts will make a positive difference for the child. They will also get involved if they receive invitations from their child's teachers suggesting that their involvement is wanted and expected. And on the right, you can see that there is a parent, student, and teacher connect. And the circle is intertwined, and it's just, there's no edges, there's no cutoffs. They work together. The information families can provide about their children. What children draw can tell a lot about their family. It can provide insight into children's inner worlds without the use of words. Together, this school age assessment, family history, and a family drawing could give the teacher insight on at-risk children and lead to formulations that differentiate their unique needs. Communicating with parents on assessments. The research stated various well-known communication devices and strategies that can be used to promote effective work with parents. The strategies included parent-teacher conferences, electronic mail, phone messages, memos, and evaluation copies or the child's portfolio sent home with his or her strengths and weaknesses being identified. The report card is a good way of communicating with parents on assessment methods teachers used, workshops to teach parents how assessments go, and how to help their child at home. So it really takes the parents and the teachers to work together to not only assess the learning that takes place, but also the teaching that is going on, and to be able to provide the child with everything they need to reach their full potential, and so that you can have parents on board to help with their child. Colorblind or color brave. We must be color brave if we want to remain true to Montessori's words and provide students with the tools they need to succeed in a multicultural democracy. Her words were to the effect that in order for us to have peace, we must work together in education. Education is the best weapon for peace, Maria Montessori has stated in the past, and this helps students become better citizens. We have to be brave enough to see no color and embrace all children and their differences, no matter what. Then we can truly be colorblind. Thank you for listening to this presentation on advocating for parents. And as teachers, we are one of the family's biggest advocates into the assessment process, and to be able to get them on board with us and to work with us will be better, and it will help not only the parents to feel comfortable, but also the children. So being able to work together and be together is very important for the child's education as far as the teacher's reflection goes as well. So thank you again for listening and watching the presentation on advocating while engaging families into the assessment process. Although this is the reference section, I'm going to kind of spend a little bit more time on this section, which I normally don't do. I usually just kind of show it at the end, but I have it because I want you to understand the rationale behind using these references. So no, they may not have been references that we used in my class, but they were extra resources and journal and peer-reviewed journals that I found on the EBSCOhost Walden database, and I believe why they were important. So during the slide, I didn't say this is cited from, but I included those citations there so that you're able to go back and look. But I wanted to go over them really quickly. The first one by Carr and Hopkins, Burka and Aldridge, Assessing Attachment in School-Age Children. Do the school-age assessment and family drawings work together as complementary tools? What was happening mainly in that article, which is a really good article to look at, is how you can basically assess. You can do a regular developmental assessment, but to also kind of get that mental and cognitive assessment, you can find a lot out about a child through their drawing. Just like they said, pictures are worth 1,000 words. A child's pictures, if you just have them draw and have a free time, maybe at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, their drawing can tell you a lot about what's going on in their home, their families, what's going on, even maybe at school that may be upsetting them. So it was very eye-opening, and it provided some examples, actually, and some case studies on there that showed students' work, and it broke down what each drawing may have meant. Like, for example, if it was little Shaniqua, she would have drawn a picture of grandma, uncle, aunt, and mom, and maybe dismissed the dad. So that could possibly mean that she lives with maybe uncle, or uncle's the dad in her life, and she lives with maybe grandma and mom. And or maybe, or vice versa, maybe aunt and uncle are the mom and dad in this child's life, but she still loves and misses mommy because maybe mom is coming in and out of the house. Maybe she's on drugs. We never know. And so she's staying with grandma most of the time. So it's very important to not only do just a school age assessment, but to also look at the drawings. The reference by Curlew, Hendrace, and Farkas, The Importance of School Competition and Teachers Assessment for Merit Gradations, a case of preschool and primary school teachers in IC County, Romania. This happens, unfortunately, in the United States as well. And so it was basically the fact that these teachers were beginning to get so caught up in the children have to pass these assessments because it's tied to my pay. Sounds familiar? That usually happens in the United States now with the whole race to the top dollars, the No Child Left Behind in 2001. So a lot of times we have to go back to teaching and why we are teaching. And it showed how some of those teachers had gotten frustrated for the fact that they were being graded on the children. So then they missed the authentic learning because they were too busy trying to teach to a test. So definitely be careful about that. The reference by Deslandes and Rivard, a pilot study aiming to promote parents' understanding of learning assessments at the elementary level. That was a very good reference point because that's the one too that mainly kind of showed good examples of how to get parents engaged with you and advocating them into that assessment process because it allowed for, the school there were creating workshops and having the parents come in, but they were saying, of course, a problem would have been not all parents were interested in the assessment process, so they did not come in. And so that was something for future study. What else can we do besides doing the home visits and the emails and, the report cards and things like that? So some of that stuff, you still have to reach out to your parents, and you'll know more how to reach out to your parents based off of once you meet them and they're in your classroom. By Franzek, The Early Childhood Assessment Purposes. I love this video, so I attached it to the beginning because it gave those main points of the purpose of assessments. Now, I know in my class, we came up with 7 reasons on what we've learned in class and why we thought assessment was important and what it would do. And this video, it's about a 9-minute video, basically shows, how there's different areas of assessments from not just the child's point of view, but making sure your learning environment is set up right. A lot of those have to do with assessments and the children's learning also. So that's a great video. It's worth the 9 minutes. So I know I didn't get to click on it for you to read it, but go back and take the time to look at that. Goldstein and Randolph wordplay from the Young Children's Journal that's wonderful. It gives you also examples of how to use vocabulary words because that's a big push in preschool now. Since I've moved down to preschool from kindergarten, I know it was very important to push those not only academic words, but other synonyms for words. Instead of just saying, I'm happy, I'm ecstatic, I'm excited, getting them to use those big words in normal language, telling them what they mean, but keep doing it so that they'll understand what those words are. So it's never too late to start where we would think, oh, they don't know those words, don't start. They do. And it gives you examples of how to create a higher extended vocabulary with your children. By Porhosen, Hobby, and Ashori, Ganbari, Riahai, and Godrati, the prevalence of behavioral disorders among preschool children. That's an eye-opening statement because I had done a research on Korea where, for the most part, their main assessment, they only assess children who they assumed had a behavioral problem. They weren't really assessing all children at the time. So it's just mind-blowing that they were saying, that more behavioral disorders are coming up in preschool. But if we can get the parents on board and they're honest about it, and you create a relationship with them where they feel comfortable with you, we should be able to do early prevention on behavior so that the child is successful in school. And Stevenson, Colorblind or Color Brave. It's a very short article, but it's very powerful because it also states where, the world is in turmoil right now, where there might be wars and rumors of wars coming at the children, and the children are exposed to this even though we think they're not. And we want them to be able to feel comfortable in our classroom, feel loved, feel that they are accepted no matter what ethnic background they are. So it's very important, even in this article, to figure out, we don't want children just to be, just color blind, but also color brave, because you want them to be able to recognize, not just say we're all of one color, everyone's blood runs red. That's true. And so we always use the term colorblind, be colorblind to everything. But for this fact, I think to be color brave, to acknowledge that there are different ethnic and cultural backgrounds out there, and that I can still accept you for who you are, no matter what you wear, no matter what you do. And so that's a really good article. It's not, I'm just going to do a blind eye on what you're doing, and you should just come on and be the same with me. I'm not going to look at your color. It's saying be color brave in that aspect. So I hope that gave a better explanation of the references that are in the PowerPoint, because I didn't really want to take up a lot of time to go through what each reference meant. I wanted to kind of get through the slides to hit the points that needed to be hit, but I wanted to take time during this reference section to explain the insights that I received from each reference, and why I think it's important not only to advocate and engage families into the assessment process, but just to take a look at some of these articles as well if you need references on cultural or behavior, or even just how to take a child's natural environment, or take something as simple as a drawing and find out how to work with the child and work with the family, and how to promote their understanding and the different assessment purposes that are there. Okay, again, thank you for listening to this presentation on advocating while engaging families into the assessment process, and I hope this has been very helpful to you. Again, I'm Felicia Farr from Walden University, and have a good day.